you all please stand and join us for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Are there any changes to the tentative agenda?
I have none.
Meet with department heads and elected officials. Krista Pogemiller?
Good morning. We're just keeping busy. We had the state surveyors in last week to do our 3-year visit for our home health program. So overall, that went well. So other than that, I have nothing new to report.
Angie Vaughn, keeping everybody safe.
Good morning. Well, everybody's been staying safe, so I really don't have anything to report either.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Hyman, COP.
Yeah, we had our stakeholder meeting last Wednesday, and Sarah Knox with the Iowa Peer Network talked about training that they offer for suicide intervention, so that was good. We talked about legislative priorities in both stakeholder and governing board meetings. Ryan is now the interim CEO for the South Central Behavioral Health Region, and she reported on how she'd been doing that for a week and a half and that things were going good so far. There was talk about the possibility of someday merging the SEAL region and South Central Behavioral Health Region. Discussion about that, and they'll talk more about that at next month's meeting. We'll see where that goes. Some of the advantages to that would be they have an access center over in Ottumwa. If we merged our regions, we would have an access center then too. And there's staff that complement each other in that they have a different model than what our staff are, so there isn't a lot of duplication of staff. And they have lower administrative costs, so that could help us too. So we're just starting to talk about those kinds of things and learning more. So that's about all for now.
Is Ryan still the head of the SEAL region then?
Yeah, she's still the CEO for the SEAL region, and she's agreed to be the interim CEO through June 30th. For the South Central Behavioral Health Region, which is just 4 counties. It's about half the size of our region. Then their board will decide whether they want to pursue a merge with our region or whether they want to hire their own full-time CEO or what they're going to do. So it's kind of up in the air at this time, but there would be some advantages to merging. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Natalie, Treasurer's Office.
Recorder's
Recorder's Office.
Good morning. Just an update on the digitizing process. We are starting to get some of the USB with some images on there from Advantage Archives. So we do have to inspect those for the quality and see if they need cropped or anything. Then after that, they'll have to be uploaded into Eagle from Tyler. So still a long process, but we're starting to get some feedback from them. So. And that's it.
Images pretty good so far.
What's that?
Have you seen the images so far?
Yes, they're good. I was hoping for some more cropping and that's with them, but they said they would work with me on those, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Brian Carter, County Roads.
Good morning. Guess we're still acting like it's summer for the time being, so the guys are out actually closing the road today and doing a crossroad culvert, replacing that. So we sent out some notices on that. Have a couple crews cutting trees, so if you hear about something along that lines, I think we had a couple burn piles that we intentionally lit up yesterday because it was so damp and got those burned. I think somebody called them in because one of them was still smoldering or something, so I don't think it was an issue, but we are doing some trees and along that front too, so yeah. Other than that, things are moving, and I guess we'll see what tomorrow brings as far as weather.
All right. Rodney Blazer, Maintenance.
Good morning. Just had budget hearing last week. Trying to finish some of that stuff up. Other than that, nothing new to report.
Sheriff KG.
Good morning. We had our 911 board meeting. Shane was there for that, and we put a tentative budget together, so I'll get with Cheryl probably today, and hopefully get some help in getting that published for our public meeting. We had the Middletown City Council meeting. They approved our law enforcement agreement on Thursday, and then last night we had both Minneapolis and Danville, and they both approved the law enforcement agreement as well. So we're just really happy to be a part of that community and to provide that service, and they had nothing but positive things to say. So it's a pretty proud moment to hear all the work that our staff is doing and the way they're doing things in those communities. So other than that, just staying busy. The jail's at 79, 8 out of county, and really none waiting to go anywhere other than we have 7 waiting on the halfway house, which is kind of our normal.
Hey Kevin, I got a question on that SRO officers. Are they there after ball games sometimes, or?
Yeah, so we'll flex around the schedule a little bit. We want them to be, they'll do some events, they won't do all of them.
Yeah.
You know, there's enough extracurricular activities, they can't go to all of them, but the major events they'll go to, and they'll do like the proms, the dances, those kind of things. But they really, I mean, they really enjoy that part. They really become a part of the school. They dress up, they wear the jerseys, they do that, and it's a lot of fun for them. So
That's good.
that's
Good
kind of
for
what
the
we're
kids.
after.
Good for the kids to see how law enforcement is.
For sure, yeah, it works out really well. They're really pleased with the deputies that are in there, and we just been lucky to find the right personalities to go into those positions. So it's worked out well.
Good deal. Colin, IT.
Morning. Just keep busy like always, nothing in the report.
Jared, land use.
Things are going pretty good right now. Keep busy as usual. Nothing on the agenda or anything today. I don't know if you think you got copies of this as well. It's kind of strange. They've sent this out a couple of times already from this Center for Infrastructure and Economic Development. And you read into it, it's pretty obviously a wind, maybe solar too, but alternative energy promoting from that organization. And the last one was kind of more just specific to the background on the organization and what they do, and it had some stuff about where to get guidance on developing wind and solar ordinances, which I mean, it's kind of just a coincidence that we're in the process of doing that now, but it's nothing really. I think it's just another, this one just seems more like a general promotion of what wind can do for a county economy. I think they have an example in Indiana, but I don't know how many of these they plan on sending out, but it's nothing major, I don't think. But we're in the process of developing one of those anyway. So.
Thank you for your hard work, Jared.
There's a bunch of them in my box going, I moved up to yours.
Yeah, they send them out to I guess in some communities, if they have county-wide zoning, then it's typically handled through the zoning ordinance, but it is kind of bizarre that they'll just randomly look up the names of the commission members and mail it to the courthouse, but whatever. It's their prerogative if they want to print off all this stuff.
Jared, you're one of a kind. Chris Lee, Conservation.
Field crew's been out cutting brush, kind of like the roads guys, especially at Stars Cave. That place looks a lot different if you walk back the trails there. It's just unbelievable the amount of invasive species that are coming into our forests. And we've got one in there, it's called Oriental Bittersweet. It's this vine, it climbs trees and then it wraps around the tree so hard it'll kill the host tree, which generally you don't see that in species that use another one. But I mean, we didn't really realize the extent that it was in there, but down in that bottom, it is unbelievable how much of that stuff is in there, and controlling it is rather difficult. At least with the invasive bush honeysuckle that we cut a lot out of, fire will control it. Apparently with Oriental Bittersweet, fire just makes it mad. And so, so that's going to be a fun process in the coming years, trying to keep that at bay, especially in that place where we got such nice trees, and the place is really known for its forest resource. And then the other big thing is the Eagle Watches this weekend, 10 a.m. Port of Burlington for the program, and then drive up to Lock and Dam 18 and see the eagles up there. I know Lee County's got a lot of eagle stuff going on this weekend too, so this weekend is really all about the eagles. So,
A little tougher without the ice, isn't it?
yeah, normally you get a lot more when things are frozen over and stuff, so counts might not be quite as high as what you have seen in past years where they haven't been so warm. But I suspect just based on time of year, you'll still see quite a few.
About hitting Eagle Saturday, they're out on Highway 34.
Yeah.
I was headed over to Mount Pleasant, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a dead coon in the road. That eagle swooped down just as I was coming by there, and I had to slam on my brakes. I bet it didn't miss him that far, hit my windshield, he went up in the air.
Yeah, they made it felt. It was a big bird.
Then if I'd have killed him, I'd have turned that in, wouldn't I? DNR.
Probably would have been good to notify him anyway.
Did you get a picture?
Oh, I didn't have a chance, Bob.
Next time, Jim, pull over and get a selfie so we can improve. We good?
Good.
Sarah Marie, County Auditor.
Good morning. It's been very busy the last couple weeks with budget, but I'm hoping to get some other stuff done this week, work on some payroll stuff. W-2s are done and in your mailboxes. Other than that, just trying to catch things up.
All right, thank you. This brings us to correspondence. Any correspondence, gentlemen?
I have none.
I have none. Okay. Now let's go to discussion and vote. Number A is a agreement between Minneapolis Community School District and Des Moines County for the School Resource Officer Program.
Move to approve.
Second, and if I could just piggyback on what Kevin and Jim were saying, I have not talked to anybody that isn't mentioned that is not thrilled with that program. They love the program, they love the people that are in those positions. That's been nothing but a complete success as far as I can tell. So thank you for everything, you and your department.
Well, thanks for the support on it, and really our goal in being in the school is not just to have an officer there, it's somebody that interacts with the kids, that builds those relationships. I mean, those are, they're our future of our community, so having those relationships now and building that trust and just, it's been amazing so far, so we're happy to be a part of it.
Sarah Marie.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. I waited till after everyone said yes before I stamped it.
So proud of you.
You'll slip up for you.
You know it, Jimmy. You know it, brother. Jim, with friends like you, who needs an enema? While we're passing this around, KG, just want to just tell real quick in about 5-10 seconds, just basically what a 2080 agreement is.
So 2080 agreement is just, it's basically a contract that involves public agencies. So that 2080 is, it's between Des Moines County, essentially the board, the sheriff's office by way of the board, and then Danville Community School District and Minneapolis Community School District. It just lays out the agreement, make sure there's no misunderstandings, what we're gonna do, what they'll do, and been a really good agreement.
All right, you heard it first from the sheriff. Next is B, a 2080 agreement between Danville Community School District and Des Moines County for the School Resource Officer Program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and second. Sarah Marie.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes.
I guess I should say government bodies, not public agencies.
Close enough.
We knew, Kevin.
I was waiting for the correction.
Shane, I can almost read your writing.
Almost.
You haven't been around tall long enough.
That's a process, man. Next on the agenda is accounts payable for the amount of $564,063.00 in checks.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Okay, next we have appointment of Washington Township trustees. Is Tom Darbyshire from Morning Sun, and he's requesting your approval for a 4-year term of appointment expiring 2026 of December.
Move to approve?
Second.
Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. All right, now we have a personnel action. It's for the correctional office, full-time position. And the person is Cody Reynolds. It's a 24-step increase from $44,463.60 to $45,338.37.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. We have reports. Sheriff's monthly report of fees collected for December 2022. And we have the clerk's monthly report of fees collected for December 2022. These will be recorded in the auditor's office. You can look at them whenever you would like.
See.
Thanks. What's that? What did I do?
You got two of them. You got another one there.
Oh, I didn't do,
Yeah. I have
where's that?
two of them. You got the one for the clerk.
What's that? But I find it. Next, we have the minutes of regular meeting on January 3rd, 2023.
Move to approve?
Second.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Do we have other business?
I have none.
I have none.
Shouldn't that be for January 10th
What's that?
instead of January 3rd? Aren't those minutes for the 10th?
Good catch.
Yes.
Sorry.
Way to pay attention to detail, friend. That would be January 10th.
Motion to amend it. The date.
You get a second, Jim?
Second.
Other business? None. Future agenda items? Committee reports?
I attended Southeast Iowa Lake Region meeting by Zoom. We had budget hearings, but, and like Ken said, we approved claims and that the Ryan Wood, the CEO of the Seal Region, is gonna be the interim CEO for the South Central Behavioral Health. And Ken mentioned maybe merging. We're trying to be a little proactive. The state is making noises about merging some, so they don't have as many regions, about merging some of them. And in anticipation of something like that, this gives us a chance to work with Southeast Iowa, South Central, and see if it was something to maybe merge in anticipated of the state doing something like that. And it might save us from being merged with somebody that wouldn't work out as well. So this is using this as an opportunity. And I attended the CIT jail diversion meeting, and more interesting discussion, and they went over the monthly statistics for the jail diversion program. That's all I have. Jimmy?
I attended the early childhood, and as of now, I'm the only Des Moines County person on that board. We need 2 people from Des Moines County. Gender doesn't make any difference. It could be male or female. We really need to get somebody recruited for that position. And I think I talked to Zach the other day about his wife works in that, and he said she might be interested, but I haven't heard back. So if you know anybody that's interested in early childhood, have them contact me, and I'll put them in contact with Tasha. And it's a rewarding thing to work with these early kids, you know, that what childhood does. They fund some community actions and they also fund your daycare rounds, such as the Burlington School District. The one they have out at the old core school, they do a little funding out there, I think, and to over $50,000 a year. And we really need somebody else on that board.
Where do they hold their meetings?
The meetings are held in Mount Pleasant at the Masonic Lodge once a month, and they're at 5:30 in the evening, so that gives people in the workforce that would like to be on that board, they can still make it over there after work. So we had the state there, and that's why we at the meeting, and they wanted to go over what our protocol was and everything, and they was well pleased with the way the board's running, so please, if you know anybody that wants there, Mr. Carter would be a good one, and Natalie would be a good one too, because see back there laughing.
I said I kinda gave up on early childhood a few years ago.
So, no, in all seriousness, if you know anybody, just have them contact the auditor, and she can get a hold of me or whatever, so I'd sure appreciate that.
I had the E911 board meeting. You weren't done. Go ahead, James.
I was gonna say Lori, she'd be a good one for that.
That was her look of approval, Jim.
I got that.
At the E911 board meeting, and KG kind of went into that, but we're just kind of with our budget and looking at some new equipment to try to make things run better. That was about it. So. Okay, this brings us to public input. If you're one of the many that are at home watching us, which there are many.
Did you see that that shooting up, that graph?
Yeah.
West Burlington's been getting into that. They're trying to skew the numbers. But anyways, we're gonna give you 2 minutes here. If you'd like to call in, you can call in to 319-753-8203, extension 4. Again, that number is 319-753-8203, extension 4. Or you can email us at board@dmcounty.com. So 319-753-8203, extension 4. Or you can email us at any time to board@dmcounty.com. We'll give you 2 minutes. Somebody say something. Somebody say something interesting.
Rodney, you're smiling. What do you got on your mind?
You don't wanna know. Just lots of work.
Lots of work.
I got to go to the top of the Meeker's Landing elevator last week. We keep some equipment there. My jobs never take me to such places, but got to go up there and just kind of take a look at it, make sure everything's operational as it should, and it appears to be good. But the view up there is amazing, and it's much colder when you get 150, 160 feet up in the air.
I asked him, I said, KG, what are you gonna do with this job of sheriff? He said, I'm gonna go to the top of the world. I don't know if he made plans, but.
The shaft elevator on a cable that takes you up there is, you don't feel like you're going to the top of the world. And when I was getting in there, the guy says, I don't go up there. And he said, if the cable breaks, if you start to free fall, just step on that plunger at the bottom and it'll drive spikes into the concrete walls. He's like, but it's not gonna break, you'll be okay.
Makes you feel real safe, doesn't it?
Like, sounds good.
Did your foot hover over the brake?
Tested it a couple times. Like, but if you're falling, how do you really stomp?
Did you go up there and look at it, put that antenna up there he's talking about for that new radio system? Would that work up there?
Yeah, so that's a potential option. We currently have equipment there.
Yeah.
It's what we use to kind of catch the north bottoms. It's just the topography, it's a difficult location because anytime, obviously 99 is right along the bluff. And the way your radio signals go, it just carries right over the top of your equipment when you're out there trying to make a vehicle stop or communicate. So to balance that, we put equipment on the Meeker's Landing elevator that shoots back to catch all that bottom area. So we have equipment there now, and just kind of taking a look at that and the possibility of that being part of the future of a location.
That would be great.
So does Colin need to go up there and check it out too?
Once you're up there, it's amazing. It's the elevator ride up there. You're clunking around. It's pretty interesting.
I think Jared needs to go up in that so you can get a good survey of the land, Mr. Land Use. Hey, anything you want to say real quick on W-2s?
Nope.
All right. That looks like it's going to be about 2 minutes or a little bit over, so we do appreciate everyone for your time. Don't hesitate. Also, I want to just reiterate this. You can email anytime to board@dmcounty.com. Tom and Jim would love to hear from you. So, if there is nothing else after this meeting, we have a work session following with conservation regarding budget, and with an aye, we're adjourned.
Aye.
Aye. Sarah Marie.
Hi.
All right.
We are here for a work session with the Conservation Department over their budget. And Chris is here, so Evie Lee, we'll hear from you.
Well, really, I'm here to hear from you, after our budget, meeting, or it was last week, week before. You asked for some more information, I did send that out, hope you had a chance to review that, and just, like some feedback from the board here as to how I need to proceed with my budget.
Laptop's getting turned on, but gentlemen, is anybody prepared with any statements or have any comments? Here's what I'd like, not necessarily this year, but sometime I'd like to know, okay, you've got a pumping station, I don't remember the number now, up there, and you've got a welder, recreation and that. And I know part of it's broke out on that, you know, but I would like some sort of an idea what we spend, or what you spend on the welder area, you know, and what that's offered, so I kind of look at it, as I look at your budget, it's I've looked at a lot of budgets. It's really hard to deal with, and I know we've been at loggerheads over a number of issues. So one of them was that salary schedule. You know, and so I've said that, you know, the county had a 0% raise in fiscal 14, and that's when you passed that salary schedule. And the salary schedule was fiscal 15. So, and this is one of my problems. So I went back and I pulled up the conservation budget of 2015. So that also showed the you know, the actuals and year-end estimates for 2014. And so conservation did budget that 0% increase, but then you went ahead and just overspent your budget on all the salary items. You just added 2% to them. The executive director was budgeted at $49,000. So the pay was 22% more. It was $49,980. You've got clerks there for $33,949 and paid them $34,628. But as I go through there, one of them was, I think, 2.5%. But you just took whatever your budget was and you added 2% to them and you paid them. And that led me to believe that you'd passed that in 2014. So apparently you passed it in 2015. That's, you know, you sent that along. And the Conservation Board or you, somebody just decided that it was okay to overspend your budget on all those things. And so anyway, that's all this stuff builds up, as we've all discussed. And I can't get a handle on what stuff costs. I don't want to shut you down. And the one thing we have asked for and been through that is that we understand you want to build stuff, but we just don't want to build stuff and then dump the operations and maintenance costs on the taxpayers. And we've talked about that. You and I don't see eye to eye on that. And when I look at your plans, like the latest plans when you want to spend all that money, you know, $1.61 million on 2 cabins, and then look at the revenue it's going to come in, you're counting on the taxpayers have to pick that up. So I mean, you're planning. I can look at it. I understand the budget. I can look at it and see the taxes are going to have to go up to cover that. You're going to need more money from the taxpayers because those things won't pay for themselves. So when you show me plans that say taxpayers are going to pay more, I have a problem with that. If you're gonna address a lack of cabins with 2 cabins that rent for $250 a night, those people in Des Moines County can't afford that. And there's only 2 of them. I don't see how that answers any sort of a cabin camping problem at all. So I guess this is just, you know, I'm not mad. I'm just telling where I'm coming from. When you went down here to, you know, they had the meeting and all the people came here. You know, that you wanted to lease that property. And we talked about it, so maybe what those people were looking at is they have a piece of property. The government, the federal government, bought a piece of property next to them. They don't own it. They're not allowed to buy it. So they take care of their property, probably that property too. And then all of a sudden the county comes along and said, you know, if you aren't the low bidder to lease that property, we're gonna rent it to people for parties or something like that. Basically, that's exactly what you're telling them, that if they aren't leasing that, they don't have any idea who'll be moving in next to them, what it's gonna be. That's why they were all down there. They don't have any choice but to be the low bidder. You've just told them, if it's the other way around, it's economics called rent seeking. That's when people are trying to get a stream of revenue from the government. This was reversed. This was the government. We were gonna take a stream of revenue from those people in order to maintain their property the way they have it now. They didn't have any choice because they can't buy it. If they want to have any say on that at all, they have to lease that. Anyway, that's why they were here. And that, quite honestly, last year, when your budget was reduced, I read in the paper, you know, this is how to contact the supervisors. They took so much away from us, and we threw this at a meeting. And I told you were a little fast and loose with the numbers then, but I know how that works. And then you had your whatever your quarterly newsletter goes out, and this is how to get a hold of supervisors. You know how many calls or emails I got about that? 0. Did you guys get any?
Nope.
Did you get any, Shane?
I received one, but it was for, it was a thank you for not letting them rent. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, well, and the only thing I heard was from the guys down here. But when you were trying to get the public, that, you know, that to overwhelm us with, you know, that we're being unfair to customers, I didn't hear from anybody. Not even an email. Not even a nasty voicemail. So when you have all these surveys, I don't know who you're talking to. But you aren't talking to people that reach out to the board. Unless you have a meeting and show up in a hard hat and a chest protector, because you know they're gonna be mad. So I guess, you know, as I look at your budget, I'm gonna be honest with you, I could probably live with most of that. Because I don't know. I look at your numbers and I don't have any confidence in any of them. I just don't. So, and I realize this isn't gonna happen this year. Next year, I would like to know what it costs to do all this stuff. Rather than just, I would really like to know. So, you know, if look at your budget and say, do we need this? Pretty tough to tell what all's involved in that. So, and I didn't show up just to argue with you, but we've been through that any number of times. But that's what I'm looking at. And I will implore you one more time. I do not want to see any master plans or any plans at all coming through here says, this is what we're gonna do. Or this is what we're gonna raise money for. That you're gonna build a whole lot of recreational infrastructure, but the taxpayers can pay more, you know. Because the people you're asking to pay taxes on $800,000 cabins can't afford to stay one. They'll just be picking up for the the costs of it. I don't think I'm the only one. If you start talking to people in the rest of the county, you wouldn't have a real problem with that. So, I don't know, since all the salary stuff, and there's more information there than I know what to do with. You've got a heck of a lot of it. Brian, how many positions are on the secondary roads AFSCME contract?
I believe you're probably talking 18. I don't know how many are actually union.
No, but you get paid X number of dollars for this duty. How many duties would you have? Is it just one?
They all get the same wage.
That's what I mean. Anyway, so you've got all these, and a lot of them are about the same. Then you go through, and I think you've got 9 different classifications, and you got 6, what do you call them? You got levels or whatever, and then you got several. Anyway, you've got 6 different ones that, I suspect a lot of them are fairly interchangeable, and you can move them back and forth, when you want somebody into a different, someplace else on the salary matrix. I would like to see you focus on developing some trust with this board. I just told you what's happening that doesn't build. You don't build trust by doing things that are in your budget. You don't build trust by changing numbers on your budget that you don't think anybody will notice. You don't build things by when you come out and send out a newsletter or something that shades percentages a little bit. You have a better idea about your budget. When you were here a month ago, you said, we need $15,000 to, that's the bottom line. We're okay. So, and thank you, Julie. I appreciate Julie, because she said, I think it's probably 40 or something to that extent. Was that fair with what you said? And I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot high every time.
Well, no, that's fine, and I'm just saying.
Yeah, that was my number.
So
That
then,
wasn't his.
the next time you show up, it's not 15, it's 23. Well, then you talk a little bit, actually it's 40. So this board gave you 40 grand. Well, then you said, and it doesn't include this $16,000 or whatever. You ask how to build trust, I'm telling you how. When you say you want to build something worth $1 million, or if you say you want to spend $3 million, and you're going to make $30,000 a year on it, and you don't include any depreciation, there aren't any accountants up here, but we're not fools. If something doesn't pay for itself, you talk about sustainable development. If something consumes more resources than it creates, that's not sustainable. And those things you're talking about, they're nothing like sustainable. All they do is eat resources. So there would be any number of things that transparency. Don't just say, I don't think I don't agree with the board that the taxpayers shouldn't pay for that. I think they should pay for it. So we're just going to go ahead and do what we want to do. That's not going to build any trust with me. I assume not the rest of the board. That's what we see. We have more problems with conservation than any other department. By a factor of 2 or 3, or who knows? Would you guys agree with that?
I do.
I don't know if I can, I haven't been the history that you guys have, but I know that there's definitely some issue with the Board of Conservation, that goes without saying. I just wanna know, what's the crux? Is this for your development, or is this just for operations? What's
Budget?
Yeah, I mean, what's the,
It's just operation. And Big Hollow's, everything we've built at Big Hollow is paying for itself. The revenue that we get from Big Hollow, that this board has generously given to this department back in 2014 or whatever, passed a resolution, the Big Hollow's revenue went into Big Hollow. So as we built that park up, that revenue has grown, and then that revenue incrementally over time, more and more of that has gone towards operations. To the point now where 100% of Big Hollow's revenue covers operations, but we're not growing the fund balance with the revenue from Big Hollow.
to Tom's point, which, he goes back to this about the cabins, what's the movement on that? I mean, is there any changes on that, or are you gonna look into no changes on that?
There may never be cabins there.
Do what?
No, well, that's what
Maybe
I'm
there'll
getting.
never be cabins.
Well, that's my point, I'm saying, at
But,
one
I
point,
mean,
you were looking at
I mean, I provided documentation at a work session where I ran the numbers, and to Tom's point, yes, I did not include depreciation. And so, but I showed operationally, those cabins were gonna pay for themselves and generate revenue above that.
But your revenue wouldn't pay for an employee.
If you take,
We had revenue built in there to hire out custodial work. So our plan, we budgeted, or, in figuring those revenue estimations, we were using the expense dollars at the approach that we would hire a third-party company or a cleaning crew or something to do the custodial on those cabins. So that it wasn't our team, our staff that goes in and cleans those cabins every time they turned over.
Cleaning is not operation, not necessarily all operation maintenance. I'm sorry, Jim, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was gonna say, instead of hiring a company, building something the taxpayer's gonna pay for, and then hiring somebody to take care of it, it's been 4 or 5 years ago, we sent a thing out there. These people that will build cabins on places, you talked about it, but you've never pursued them and never contacted them to come look at it. They put all the money in it. They take the resources, they give you a percentage of it. And I said in a board meeting where you said, I want the last say-so though. So you need to get them people out there to look at it to see if you can save the taxpayers some money.
Sure.
And let them take care of it, let them take the load off.
And so this board has talked to individuals, and we went to SCC because they do a third-party system for running their housing. And so we looked into the logistics of how that operates. But, I mean, we're a long way from being able to put cabins in there. And my point, as far as controlling that, was that I wanted to make sure we controlled the reservation system of it. If somebody wants to reserve a facility inside of Big Hollow, it should be the organization that runs Big Hollow. I mean, if you gone to parks, have you ever, or to a resort or anything like that, where you run into a situation, you contact the park, and you say, hey, I would like to reserve this cabin, and we say, you've got to contact this company to go reserve the cabin, and you're giving people the runaround. We would like to keep that all in-house. That was the point I was making.
Wouldn't you think that if you were even interested at all in that's not a difficult question? If you have somebody come and say, okay, yeah, we can do this, we've got modular cabins, we can do this or that, then you can discuss the reservation system rather than just assuming, we want to do it. I guess what I'm saying is a lot of people make a lot of decisions, but they explore the options before you even start considering that. You say, well, we can look at this, we can look at that. So this is going to cost so much and do this. This is going to cost so much and do this. That call's never even made to somebody that was going to pay you.
And the reason it hasn't been is because we feel we're so far away from being able to trigger that project that wasn't, I mean, we're still trying to get the campground built. And so, yeah, I mean.
These guys build
we've
stuff like
explored-
that. I mean, I just can't imagine, if I'm even thinking about that, to get where money is, talk to these guys, get an idea whether it's possible, what it would cost, what the revenue would be, what the reservation system would be.
Well, and
We're not talking spending a whole year on it. That could be done in pretty short order.
I think that maybe the disconnect here is
the master plan that the board reviews, and there's an annual review of the master plan. I mean, we don't sit at every meeting and talk about cabins because there's far too many urgent, like making sure the septic system's working and, you know, all the things that go into operations. So once a year, we do a review of the master plan, and that's the point where the board would say, well, this, you know, because we've made no actions to build a cabin. So it's a master plan, it gets reviewed. If it doesn't make sense to do it anymore, then it comes out of the plan and gets modified. Like when Jim mentioned, great suggestion, you know, our park ranger's retiring. He says, well, why don't you rent that out? And, you know, for a relatively low investment, we're gonna have a really nice cabin that's already built. We're already maintaining it, so it's no additional cost to the operating. In fact, it'll be a revenue generator now. So I think the idea that we as a board and Chris are not open to modifying things and bringing in new information, it doesn't feel how we as a board are operating. We're open to ideas, we're open to taking cabins off the thing.
You were
So let's-
actively fundraising for that plan. You asked the board for
Right.
$1 million.
Right.
You had some money, you already had names of donors there.
Right, and that's.
So you were actively raising money for
Correct.
that plan.
Correct.
But you hadn't made any decisions or anything, you just went out with it and said, this is what we want, this is how much money we want. That, and that's maybe cart before the horse, but I'm saying if you're actively raising money
Right.
for something, you've made some decisions.
So are you raising money for the big cabins,
That's
and
what
they know
wanted
that
$1
that's what
million
they're paying for?
That's what they wanted the
I
million.
mean, yeah, I know that, I'm saying, are the people that are giving
In
you money?
addition to a lot of other things, and that's not the only thing in the master plan.
Right, I'm saying the people that have donated, were we talked about that?
Nobody has
Are they-
donated specifically to those cabins.
Say that again?
Nobody has donated specifically to those
Okay,
cabins.
okay.
The master plan is a $4 million plan, and $3.25 million of it is for paving all the roads and 2 cabins.
Right, paving road.
Yeah. So so you planned that. I'm just saying, if you put something out and say, this is what we're gonna do, and you're actively fundraising for it, I can't imagine doing that unless you've made some serious plans, said this is what this is gonna cost, we can get a grant for this, we can do this or that. There's been a lot of planning go on before you put something like that
Right,
out.
because in order to get grants, you have to have, you know, they kind of require a cart before the horse, so. I'm just, maybe I'm not expressing it well, but I'm saying the idea that we're not constantly looking at what makes sense to do is a little bit like that's, you know, we spend a lot of time visibility over the budget as a board. We review claims, we do the things, I think that, I don't know why there's an independent, but there is, that's the way it's set up in Iowa. So we do a lot of what we're talking about, and we do try to get a handle on what our budget is. So it doesn't seem as fluid and revised to us, because we're there every day, every month, looking at how it's going and reviewing as it goes along. So I'm not understanding quite why you think it's such a fluid, amorphous thing, because it seems pretty solid to us. We look at it every month. I mean, I'm not understanding that.
Let's put it this way, the 2 cabins and the cement work to get to the beach and everything, you're talking about $1.6 million. But if you took that down to 1.5 million, I've already done numbers on this. It's gonna take you 17 years at $250 a night to rent that cabin every night of the year for 352 days a year. It's gonna take you 17 years to pay for it, and that does not include anything, maintenance on it or anything. That is a losing proposition for the taxpayers.
What if it's paid for from non-tax dollars? What if the build of the facility itself, the same way most of that park has been built, comes from grants, from donations, from people investing in that amenity for this community, and for the visitors to this community?
Then what do you need $1 million from the county for? That's taxpayer money. Don't care whether it comes from ARP or property taxes.
Sure, it's, it's no different than when the county invested the money to build the lake at Big Hollow. It's investing in a facility in this community. And if this board chooses not to spend on that, then that's perfectly fine. I mean,
I want to go back to, I just want to hit this since we're here. I want to go back to, Tom brought up something, and I really hope that we can find a way to build on this, because no matter when we have conversations with conservation, it comes down to trust. You know what I'm saying? It does. And there's some stuff that happened in the past that there's still some trust issues. And you know how Tom is with the numbers, and I remember his face when we were doing the budget. It was 15, then it was 25, then it was 40. Well, I want to focus on trying to build those levels of trust back with solid numbers. You know what I'm saying? I think that's important. I also like to see more conversation about, which I'm on that board and I'll be there, but I'll be mentioning this. I'd like to see more conversation about more achievable goals. Trying to reach those and just trying to build up a level of trust back with the board, because I hate coming back here and it just seems like we can never seem to put this thing to bed and say, hey, this is what we need. But I do know this, when you bring numbers to this board, because there's been lack of trust in the back, dude, you've got to have those numbers, they've got to be locked in. It can't be 15 or 25 and 40, those things. And I'm not trying to run you down or say that you did it wrong. I'm just saying that everything's a special situation, and I would like to see that level of trust get built back up, so it's not so much combative, but dude, there's a level of trust here that's been broken, obviously, and somehow we've got to try to get that back on at least something where we can stand on it.
So based on that, what we're here for today, how do you guys feel about what's submitted? Is there something that in order to move forward and build that trust, how do you feel about the budget submission? Is there something that?
And like I said, last year, wasn't sure, we took you to $600,000, and this year, we're sure look at the budget. Anyway, you said you needed more money, we gave it to you. You said how much you need this year, and I suppose I could live with that. I'm never sure about your numbers. I still have a problem with a 10-year salary schedule where you can move people from lane to lane. That's like Brian said, Brian's got secondary roads, they do lots of stuff. The sheriff, they have deputies, and they have correctional officers. Nobody else has, 10, half a dozen, 10, whatever, different salary schedule. They go through here, maybe you've got a couple. And it's been in place for 10 years. So I would think going forward, I would like to get it to a county raise, because when we have a county raise, now there's always gonna be this or that, but when we can come up with that, we have an idea what it's gonna cost, without automatically going to conservation. You said, well, okay, add so much for them. That's, but that's entirely your, the Code of Iowa gives you the ability to set those salaries.
My thing is it worth you setting those salaries apart from the county and then having this level of untrust? Would it be worth it to you to say, all right, if that's what it takes to build trust? And this is what I'm saying when I say this. I was counseling a couple. They were having some problems, and the guy was doing some crazy things on his phone. Well, I said, well, are you willing to, when you get home from work, you set that phone down and Mama can pick it up anytime she wants. She can answer the phone. She can check text, because that's what it's going to take to earn that trust back. I said, but I can assure you, after the trust is earned back, you won't have to do that forever. But at some point in time, you just can't say, well, just trust me. No, you need to lay that phone out, let them see those numbers. Are you willing to lay that phone out in that regard toward the pay thing, or is that high on your priority list? Because I still think if you come back to us, just like anybody else does, and say, hey, I'd like this money, I've got a special situation, I'm gonna, everybody's gonna listen to you, and I'm definitely gonna listen to you and hear you out. But again, I just want to go back to trying to find some trying to build some type of trust, trying to find a way to do that. On your pay thing, where are you at on that?
Let me throw something
Well-
in, Sharon, while,
Go ahead, go ahead.
and you've got on here, comparisons. Like, do you think this board doesn't see salary comparisons regularly from almost every department? And I real sometimes, they said, well, we're below the national or state average, or we're whatever, Des Moines County is the 16th largest county. It's a rural county, and it's one of the poorer counties if you figure property tax value or taxable value per capita. And so anyway, we are virtually every department. So, yeah, everybody has a problem. You scramble around, and if Lynn County wants to hire somebody, or Johnson County, or something like that, they're gone. Unless they, want, but anyway, but you keep saying to make yourself competitive. Well, every department wants that. And the board doesn't not want it, but there's certain things we can afford and certain things we can't. So anyway, that's, everybody says that. Everybody's facing that. You aren't special in that particular problem.
These comparisons you put on there, you have to remember, the elected officials, you got their comparisons in there that you sent us. That is determined basically by the comp board. They'll be coming to us on elected officials. All the rest of these is union. Guaranteed, what the union does. So, to me, that doesn't tell anything what you're doing. Because them are all negotiated contracts. Yours has never been negotiated. You go and do what you want to, and then still take the 3.25% the unions take.
So, this is the crux of the salary issue here. So, our salary scale, the 5 grades and the 10 steps for the permanent full-time employees is reviewed by the County Conservation Board every year when it reviews the employee handbook. It's written into that. So that's done through a public forum. When this was put together over the 7, 8, 9 months or a year that the County Conservation Board spent coming up with how to put together a salary structure, that was all done through public meetings, through the County Conservation Board. And it's reviewed every year. Our budget is published every year in our annual report, which is put on our website. And every one of our full-time staff is its own line item. So if anybody in the public wants to know what me or any one of the staff makes, as long as they know their job title, they can look at our budget and see what that person makes. Yeah, we have several different grades within the system, but we have different employees doing different things. And the same thing would apply to bargaining units. The sheriff's office has lieutenants and sergeants and that beyond just deputies.
They get a percentage of the union wage.
Okay, and so, but it's that's separate.
No, it's all based on that. They have sergeants and lieutenants.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian's got a lot of guys doing different things. They're all on that. Now, he has an assistant engineer and a couple other, you have one like that. I'm just saying, I don't know, but he has other, what are your,
None of my employees operate like deputies or anything like that. They're not percentages. The people that are not covered under the union contract have a salary unto their position.
yeah.
So,
Got a salary schedule for them and how much they get each year in excess?
No, there's
or
no
by the county?
preset. Their raises are determined by ultimately the board, and most of the time mirrors what the union negotiations are.
Anyway, brings that, and we've been through this, I don't know how many times. The board's problem with that is, like I mentioned earlier, the county wasn't in very good shape 10 years ago, 12 years ago. So we negotiated union contracts, so in 2014, everybody got a 0% raise. 2015, they got a 1% raise. In 2016, they got a 1% raise. Nobody anywhere was happy about it. But it helped us get us over the hump. We asked conservation about that. So among everybody, and I just went through that, and apparently you agreed to do that, but then you just went ahead and gave everybody a 2% raise and spent more than the budget for those positions. And anyway, and then the following year, you give us this, well, I don't remember reading about it in any public meeting. There's all sorts of things that are public if you want to hunt for it. There wasn't any notice of that to the board until it was presented to us as a fait accompli. You know,
We've had a representative from this board on our
I'm just
board
saying,
from
I
the
wasn't
beginning
aware of it.
time.
Nobody on the board mentioned they were aware of it until you brought it here, and I saw it, and I didn't like it then. Anyway, but you've got it, so they get raises for 10 years, and they move back and forth, some of them between, in lines,
If they're promoted.
lanes, whatever, I'm just saying, the board has never approved anything like that. It doesn't represent our union contracts, so we have, like, some of them, the sheriff's, what are they, 36 months, and I think clerks, I think, are 42, I'm not positive. But you go through that, and they've just got one or two, you know, it said you got deputies, you got correctional officers. And this is what you get, they don't move them back and forth. I don't, it's unwieldy, it is not anything that this board approves salaries. It doesn't have to approve yours, so you just ignored what we said, this is what we want to do. Just like in 2014, the board said you can pay X number of dollars for them. You said, screw it, we're gonna pay X number of dollars plus 2%. And just did it, and overspent the budget. So, and anyway, so if you haven't figured out the problem that I have with that salary structure over the last few years, you haven't been paying attention. Whether I'm right or wrong, I have a lot of problems with it.
Okay, so, starting from scratch here. So, with the employees making what they're making right now, we throw the whole salary system out, we start from scratch. Where do I go?
That is not something I think we need to discuss right here, or need to decide right now.
Okay.
I told you I could probably live with this.
Okay.
But I would like to see you guys come back with something a little different.
Okay. So over the course of
Because
this year.
the way this goes, and people turn over and they move to another lane, you're just gonna get what's essentially been over the years, double the county wage forever.
So over the course of this next year, we can have a series of work sessions with the Conservation Board and this Board of Supervisors.
So before we have a series of work sessions, I would like to see the Conservation Board bring to us their best efforts, said, we think this is what you're looking for, this is what we can do, we think this is better. I don't have time to sit down and refigure your salary structure,
Okay.
but I would like to look at it when
Chris?
you get it.
You said you had, you hired everybody that's there except one person.
So far, yeah.
So, how many of them you got that's been there like 3 years?
Let's see, I've got 2 of them that have been there for 6 years, all the rest of them have been, let's see, 3, 2, the rest of them are probably 3 or less.
So they're pretty well capped out where they're on their top salary.
No, it's gonna take them 10 years to catch up to, that's why we did this system, it was a slow rise to get to what a average salary for this level of position in a county like ours would pay. Rather than if they were.
Encourages retention also.
Rather than if they were a deputy, you know, hired within 36 months, they'll climb 25% of their salary. They'll get a 25% raise over the course of
A little over
36 months.
26% from starting for deputy on the sheriff's.
Yeah, and so it's over the course of 36 months, a step every 6 months, they're climbing 25, 26% in their salary scale. Ours is 20% over 10 years. You get 1 step per year. We don't go by your anniversary date, we go on the fiscal year, step per 10 years. So like my park ranger, who I hired a couple years back, he's got 7 years left before he'll top out in his scale to get to what is either state average or average. We try to set these looking at the county's closest to ours population. We look at it across the state averages. I know I'm not gonna compete with the likes of Lane and Johnson and Polk counties. but, you know, maybe I can compete with the likes of Lee County, Marshall County, Muscatine County, Cerro Gordo County, Jasper, or Webster County. Those are the 6 counties closest to us in population. And
So
so,
then, I understand that now, but you're still at 2% on there, and if you still take the, what we've been giving all the people, same as what the union does, then you're adding, you're going up 5-6%.
on a fiscal year,
Yeah.
when somebody's on their scale, but
Yeah.
that's the exact same way
So,
that the
so
unions
these
do it
numbers
too.
on the bottom, you got on the 10-year program here for your park ranger, he's at 49,193 now. And then you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10%, another 10% to get him up there, so that's another 49, that's 53, that's your, that'll be up to your 55. Now you add your, what, the 3.75, you know, or whatever negotiated for, you're gonna be way up there above the others. That's what I'm
But the-
saying.
but the
You're-
rest of the
you're-
world is
you're
moving like
taking
that
your-
too.
You're taking your raises and not taking, over the years, not taking what the county has offered you.
So,
Right.
That's where the big thing's at.
So how is that different than the other scales? Help me understand. Isn't that what all the other positions,
Here's the-
steps do? Isn't that the same thing they do?
Because I mean, the deputies that just got hired, they're gonna get a step every 6 months.
It's
for-
similar, but we
for
keep
36
going back
months.
to, here's where I think that,
Trying to
you're,
understand at this point.
because of the, in 2011, I think that's what it has to do with your pay scale because of 2011, because everybody else was supposed to get money and they all got 0% or 1% or whatever.
24, fiscal 2014.
14,
Okay, 2014.
0, 15, 0, or 1, 16, 1. So they went 3 years with a
I think that's part of the.
2% raise, and they all jumped theirs up.
But if Brian had hired somebody in 2014, or if the sheriff's department had hired somebody in 2014, that employee would have gotten a step increase on their 6-month anniversary, and they would have gotten a step increase on their 12-month anniversary. When depending on where that anniversary fell, if they were hired in the middle of a fiscal year, got their 6-month step increase at that fiscal year's rate of pay for that scale, the fiscal year rolls over, the 1% is added to the entire scale. They're still gonna get their step increase plus that percentage that was added to the entire scale for that following fiscal year. So the same thing would apply there. That was what we were trying to do, only we were trying to spread it over the course of a 10-year period, and rather than doing 6-month step increases, we would do it on the year, on the fiscal year, so that it could be just budgeted as a flat number, rather than doing every 6-month step increases over the course of 36 months for deputies or 48 for roads. We thought we could spread this over a bunch of years. And we thought at the time that this was developed, that was softer on the budget over time, because we knew over the course of a decade, we would try to get those top-end salaries caught up to what an average salary would be for counties such as ours or for the state average. And we're finally getting to that now 10 years later. But obviously, this isn't the way we should go, and so we'll look at changing this.
We appreciate your consideration of being even easy on the county budget. I don't know that this particular discussion gets us any farther where we want to go today. The bottom line is, and I think I told you what I would like to see to create a little more transparency, trust, and some information I'd like to have on individual areas, what it costs. And I don't know whether you don't necessarily, I know the budget director, so she doesn't yell at me, we don't change any numbers. But I would like to have, instead of, okay, that we have an employee here, we have X number of this and X number of that, so for the welder recreation area, we spend $9,218, whatever. And it doesn't even need to be that close, but something like that. I would,
I had provided all of those last year in Yeah, I mean, Jim was there, we talked about, I laid out those parks and I even looked at the mileage it takes to get to those parks and the number of times we
I
go
would,
there.
I
and
would,
patrol it, so.
I would like to, like I said, it might be nice if you included that in the budget presentation. But whenever you figured that out, I'd like to just, I'd like to know. But as far as the, you're at what, 660 plus 15 or something like that for the,
17.8 for the payout for the.
yeah, I could probably live with that.
James? I'd like to see a John Welder sign out of Big Hollow.
A what?
John Welder is the one back in 1960, 59 and 60, is the one that really got that going. And they put his name on a little park down here. He's the one that started that whole thing out there, John Welder did. I can remember that. That was his vision, was getting Big Hollow going. He came in my dad's restaurant every morning, had breakfast before he would come down here. And he said, someday that's gonna be a nice place out there. And it is a nice place, and you've done a good job, John Welder. But, I'd like to see John Welder noted out here as well as down there. I mean, do a little history research on that, see if you can't just get a little plaque put in when you come in that entryway.
Back to where Tommy was, whatever it is that you said, or whatever it is that you've got, bring it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is that's gonna give us a better eye view of, what's going on. Even if you say, well, I gave this to you 3 years ago, just go ahead and send it out. Let's try to, let's see if we can get a little bit closer to the same page. And I'm okay with the budget as well.
We wanna work with you.
And if you get, sorry Shane, if you've got something that said, well, if we were gonna do that, we would have to eliminate taking care of the Welder Recreation, so just pull a name we've been using out of there. If we did not maintain that, or whatever you do with that, you know, that would save X number of dollars. Or that's what, something, because when we look at what things cost, or if there's a certain program that said this would save X number of dollars, I'd like that stuff, because the possible exception public health, this is a difficult budget to wrap my head around.
You satisfied though for today?
We still have,
I'm usually satisfied.
Satisfied, right.
we still have the question of equipment.
You put it on the, what do you call it, the,
Capital improvements request thing.
yeah. Put it on there, and we will vote for it at that time with the, I know you gave it to us, but anyway, that'll be included on, Cheryl will hear sometime early in February.
I missed that one.
Do we need to put that on this year if he can't even order it and get the equipment till next year?
We never approve it until February, when you have to.
And that's okay, I checked with that timing's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, Welder, is that W-E-L-T-E-R? Welter, W-E-L-T-E-R, isn't it? Yeah.
And I'm not
park's
raining
named
on the
after
Welder
John.
area,
The park's named
that's
after
the only
John.
name that came to mind when I was thinking of different parks or anything, I just pulled that out of the air.
Sure, yeah. That park down there is named after John.
Yeah.
Like that
I
was
knew that, but
one of the first
that's,
things.
that's the one he wanted out there, and that's the one he was dead set on.
Yeah.
In fact, he went out and talked to landowners himself and everything on
John Welter?
that. Yep.
Yeah.
I think he was
He was the
Department's first director. Am I
He
correct on that?
worked back in the sixties, I think.
I think he was the department's first director.
Yeah.
When they became a department.
He was, he was an avid duck hunter too.
Okay.
So, everybody satisfied? Any other questions for us, Chris?
I think so.
We appreciate you coming down, man.
Yeah, I appreciate the robust discussion.
Next time, we'll have that hard hat.
And I know
We got a big table between us. so we-
somebody that may view this or hear it, you know, they may think that it's it's a pick-on session, or somebody, you picking on Chris? No, we, sometimes it has to go like this to work the bugs out, but we're working the bugs out, friend, and that's the way it goes down, so that is what it is. Anybody that's on TV that thinks Chris is being picked on, he's not.
There's apparently only two of them.
Probably the IT guys upstairs.
Yeah, yeah.
We done? We're done, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, you guys have a good one.
Devin's gonna focus on the parking lots.